Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 28, Text 25. Vikrishyamānaḥ prasabham yavanena baliyasa navindattamasa vishtah sakhayam suhridam purah. Vikrishyamānaḥ, being dragged, prasabham, forcibly, yavanena, by the yavana, baliyasa, who was very powerful, na avindat, could not remember, tamasa, by darkness of ignorance, avishtah, being covered, sakhayam, his friend, suhridam, always a well-wisher, puraha, from the very beginning. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: When King Puranjan was being dragged with great force by the powerful Yavana, out of his gross ignorance he still could not remember his friend and well-wisher, the Super Soul. Please repeat. When King Puranjan was being dragged with great force by the powerful Yavana, out of his gross ignorance, he still could not remember his friend and well-wisher, the Super Soul. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 5.29, Lord Krishna says, Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam jnatva mam shantimritchati. A person can be in full Krishna consciousness and become happy and satisfied if he knows but three things. Namely, the Supreme Lord Krishna is the enjoyer of all benefits, that He is the proprietor of everything, and that He is the supreme friend of all living entities. If one does not know this and functions instead under the bodily conception, he is always harassed by the tribulations offered by material nature. In actuality, the Supreme Lord is sitting by the side of everyone. Ishvaraha sarvabhutanam hriddesharjuna tishthati. Bhagavad Gita 18.61. The living entity and the Super Soul are sitting side by side in the same tree. But despite being harassed by the laws of material nature, the foolish living entity So Bhagavatam class, The living entity and the Super Soul are sitting side by side in the same tree, but despite being harassed by the laws of material nature, the foolish living entity does not turn toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead for protection. However, he thinks that he is able to protect himself from the stringent laws of material nature. This, however, is not possible. The living entity must turn toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrender unto Him. Only then will he be saved from the onslaught of the powerful Yavana or Yamaraj. The word Sakhayam, friend, is very significant in this verse because God is eternally present beside the living entity. The Supreme Lord is also described as Suhridam, ever well-wisher. The Supreme Lord is always a well-wisher, just like a father or mother. Despite all the offenses of a son, the father and mother are always the son's well-wisher. Similarly, despite all our offenses and defiance of the desires of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord will give us immediate relief from all the hardships offered by material nature if we simply surrender unto Him, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Māmevaye prapadyante māyāmetam taranti te, Bhagavad Gita 7.14. Unfortunately, due to our bad association and great attachment for sense gratification, we do not remember our best friend, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकांत राधाकांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नम ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। विकृष्यमाणः प्रसभम्, विकृष्यमाणः, being dragged, prasabham, forcibly. So I think the last few sessions on the Bhagavatam, we have seen from His Grace Nagopal Prabhu's classes how he showed references from the 3rd canto, 30th chapter, how a person is dragged to hell, and also from the 5th canto, how the hellish punishments are there. Briefly we have seen those. Yeah, even that one. But is that air curtain on? Air curtain. So, how our soul is dragged to hell, we have seen. So, Vikrishyamanaha, this is our condition. We are always dragged, we are always forced. Prasabham. This word is used in Bhagavad Gita also, in the 2nd chapter. But before we go to that, we go to this verse, which I think some of you already know. Chapter 3, text 5. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishthatya karma krit karyate hyavashah karma sarvah prakriti jairgunaih. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. So, we are always forced. In fact, modern way of meditation is they try to stop thinking or doing and sit still. Of course, that is not possible. But that just shows that the mind is always doing something, or a body directed by the mind is always doing something. We are forced to act. Now, that force comes from where? Force comes from association. Why do we desire something? Why do we want to do something? Because of our association. Sangat sanjayate kama. According to our sangha, our kama or our desires develop. Now, although it is by force, it is not exactly like here, like in today's verse. I mean, this one. Vikrishyamanaha. Here, against his desire, he is dragged. Against his desire, he is dragged to hell. He doesn't desire it. But in the course of our life, we desire the things that we do. Even the sinful activities we do, we want to do. So how are we forced? If we ourselves do voluntarily, how is it by force? Here the word is used tamasavishtaha, covered by ignorance. So knowledge, both times we are forced, either by knowledge or by ignorance. Our upbringing, for example, everybody behaves in certain ways because of their upbringing. What is this upbringing? Or what is peer pressure? All these are nothing but association. Association with the quality of parents, either they are in mode of goodness, passion or ignorance. Or if you say friend circle, that is also basically nothing, another word for association. And some things we are not mentioning, which is also counts as association. Like what kinds of, for example, if a person always watches movies or and even that also there are divisions, what kind of movies. Every movie, unless it is something like about Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, those kind of devotional, and that too authorized. Sometimes Mahabharata, Ramayana, they have their own storylines nowadays. That is not counted as devotional, this thing. But if it is properly done according to this thing, then it's okay to watch. Like we had a movie about Prabhupada, right? We all went to the theatre and watched the movie. I don't know, some of you were there? You were there? No? You were there. 3 years ago, it was released in Singapore theatre, and we went and saw. Now it is of course available in YouTube. So that is okay. We saw devotees from all camps. Full of devotees only. Whole theatre was full of devotees. From our camp, from ISKCON or Gaudiya Math, or this guru, that guru, everybody came. And that is one time, devotee can confidently wear devotional clothing and go to movie theatre. This is a Prabhupada movie. So similarly, if there is an authorized, authentic movie about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Krishna, that is okay. But nowadays, where is such movies? So basically, all this is also association. And the advertisements we see, there is also association. Why we eventually buy a product? Because of the advertisements we see. Because of that association, we get convinced. Our desires develop. When we see the advertisement, our desire, oh, I should also have that. Oh, this feature is very nice, I should have this. So, that's how we are associating. Sangha, Sanjaya, until we see, we don't know. Even for example, boy, girl. The boy doesn't have any desire for, a particular girl or something, unless he sees the girl. Then desire will develop. So, Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha. So, what is association? How do we count? Whenever our senses are either watching or hearing or touching or tasting or smelling. Sometimes when we pass by a restaurant, oh, so nice smell, want to eat. Or some bakery or some smell, want to eat. The desire is developed. How? First of all, the senses, capture the sense object. Then the mind starts working. That's why in the Vedic civilization, the boys and girls are kept separate. No co-education. Separate. Especially when they are young. Because, so that the senses are not given the sense objects right in front of them. Then the desires, unnecessary desires will develop. And it will distract the human being from the actual goal of life. Only when it is required, okay, then marriage, that's it. Otherwise, no. So, according to our association, we are being forced. So, when we say we are being forced, oh, then I am not responsible for whatever. No, we are still responsible. Our responsibility is that we have to enlighten ourselves. That's why in the Vedas it is said, what is that? Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam. What is the first line? Asatoma, not Ashato, Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. We have chanted this in our school. In India, if you are there in school, every assembly line you will chant this. Bhavans especially, I don't know other schools. You chanted also? We chanted also Om, what is that? Isha Vasamidam Sarvam Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat. We in fact chanted Bhagavatam verse. What is that? The 12th canto, 13th chapter, 1st verse. That Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyantiyam Yogina. That verse we used to chant in the assembly line in the school. Nothing, no meaning, nothing, useless. So, what is this tamasoma jyotirgamaya? Come out of the darkness, come to the light. Asatoma sadgamaya. Don't remain with the asat, come to the sat. Means don't remain in the material world, come to the spiritual world. It also means asatsanga tyaga. We have to asatoma sadgamaya. Sadhu samagamam. Bhaja sadhu samagamam. What is that? Chanakya Pandit, Niti Shastra. Right. Durjana samsargam, tyaja durjana samsargam, bhaja sadhu samagamam. But then what is it? The other two lines? Smaram nityam anityatam. The last line. Always think of the non-permanence of this material world, and that means smaram nityam anityatam. This will come when we associate with proper devotees. Then we are reminded of the thing that is actually permanent, and this is not permanent. And what is that meaning? Smaram nityam anityatam. Always remember about the non-permanence of this material world. That means don't make plans in this material world. Nothing will last. Why waste time making big plans? But this kind of consciousness can come with tyaja durjana samsargam. If we associate with durjana, that means asat sangha, non-devotees, then we will always make plans for material life, because that's what they are doing. And by association, we are also developing the same desire. Sangat sanjati kama. But if we do sadhu samagamam, sadhu sangha, then yes, moksha dwaram apavratam. There is a nice, I think it's 434, I think. Okay, I think it's easier. Navyavad. Yeah, this thing. 4:30:20. Yeah. Srimad Bhagavatam. Navyavadhridaye yajño brahmaitad brahmavadibhi na muhyanti na shochanti na hrishyanti yato gataha. Always engaging in the activities of devotional service, devotees feel ever increasingly fresh and new in all their activities. The all-knower, the super soul within the heart of the devotee makes everything increasingly fresh. This is known as the Brahman position by the advocates of the absolute truth. In such a liberated stage, Brahmabhuta, one is never bewildered, nor does one lament or become unnecessarily jubilant. What is this unnecessarily jubilant? That means we should not be happy, is it? Should not be jubilant. Should be morose. No. Jubilant means spiritual. Brahma Saukhyam Tvanantam. Yes. But not being happy because, oh, India won the cricket match. That is unnecessarily jubilant. Huh? India win match, cut the cake off. Cutting cake. So that is unnecessarily jubilant. Material things. But and then what happens when we associate with devotees? This verse is there in 11th canto, 11.3.30. Parasparanu kathanam pavanam bhagavadyashah mithoratir mithastushtir nivrittir mitha atmanah. One should learn how to associate with the devotees of the Lord. Association with devotees we say always. But here it is, one should learn how to associate with devotees. Not like, oh Prabhu, how are you? Hare Krishna. Finish. Go back. That is not association of devotees. How to associate means by gathering with them to chant the glories of the Lord. Sankirtanam. Chanting, singing and chanting. And also this class is also considered kirtan, sankirtan. By gathering with them to chant the glories of the Lord. This process is most purifying. As devotees thus develop their loving friendship, they feel mutual happiness and satisfaction. And by thus encouraging one another, they are able to give up material sense gratification, which is the cause of all suffering. This is smaram nityam anityatam. Always remembering the falsity of this material world or the temporary nature of this material world. That's how they give up sense gratification. That's why it is said for materialistic people, this verse, these two verses 7.14.3 and 4. Shrinvan bhagavato bhikshnam avatara kathamritam Shraddadhano yatha kalam upashanta janavritah satsangachanakaihi sangam atmajayatmajadishu vimunchen muchyamaneshu swayam swapnavaduthitah. What happens when we associate with devotees? A grihastha must associate again and again with saintly persons. And with great respect, he must hear the nectar of the activities of the Supreme Lord and His incarnations, as these activities are described in Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas. Thus, one should gradually become detached from affection for his wife and children, exactly like a man awakening from a dream. Now, grihastha means not only the one who is a householder. There are many meanings of the word griha. Griha means the house, as we commonly understand, but also it means the body, which is the house of the soul. Or it is also this whole material world, which is also the housing the soul. Or it may be the country, or it may be the what is that? Family? Well, griha means family only. So country or planet, these are also house. So grihastha. So if you are in the material world, so not only brahmachari, we don't need to here we can sleep. No, not such thing. We are all in one way grihastha only. If you take it that way, of course the ashram is different. But if you take the root word of it, griha means all these things. So as long as we are in the material world, and since we are, so we have to engage in the association of devotees, hearing from the sadhus. And what do we hear? Activities of the Supreme Lord. And then what happens? Thus gradually become detached from affection for his wife and children. Not only wife and children, our country, our body ultimately. Because even if one is not having a family, he'll be attached to his body still. So that is still there. So all these things have to come out. Exactly like a man awakening from a dream. Just that the attachment is more intense in the grihastha ashram, because we have many more things to think about. No, not hasta. Griha stha. Stha means who's staying there. Sthana means place. Stha means one who resides, resident of the house. Grihastha means resident of the house. Not at all. Dhritarashtra has nothing to do with grihastha. But he was actually a grihamedi, because mamakaha pandavaschaiva kimakurvata Sanjaya. He said, my sons and the Pandavas. He is saying, I and mine. So he will be affectionate towards them, his sons, and he will be enmity towards Pandavas. That happens. That's why householders are always, described as envious householders. Because we become envious of another. Because when we have affection for only a few people, like say our family members, we fight for their interests. Sometimes we fight among ourselves also, but or myself. If somebody goes against my sense gratification or my family sense gratification, I will get against that person. Even though my family member is in the wrong, I will fight with the other person. Like what happened in Dhritarashtra's case. His family member is wrong, his son is completely nonsense rascal. But he was attached and he could not do the right thing. So in this way, there is the mind is fully creating these relationships in this material world based on sense gratification, which is explained nicely here. 11.23.48. तं दुर्जयं शत्रुमसह्य वेगम् अरुन्तुदं तन्न विचित्य केचित् कुर्वन्त्यसद्विग्रहमत्र मर्त्यैर्मित्राण्युदासीन रिपून् विमूढाः. Failing to conquer this irrepressible enemy, the mind, whose urges are intolerable and who torments the heart, many people are completely bewildered and create useless quarrel with others. Thus, they conclude that other people are either their friends, their enemies, or parties indifferent to them. So, we calculate like this. We make relationships in different ways based on our sense gratification. So, that is the problem here, and therefore we are forced. Prasabham. This word prasabham means forced. That word is used in the second chapter, how the senses are, I think 260. Haranti prasabham manaha. Yatato hyapi kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha indriyani pramathini haranti prasabham manaha. The senses are the senses are so strong and impetuous, O Arjuna, that they forcibly carry away the mind even of a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them. Now this is the thing. Why satsanga? Mukta duhsango. Prabhupada called, always quoted that verse. I think it's somewhere in the Bhagavatam. Satsangaha mukta something. Satsanga duhsango. What is this? 1, 10, 11 and 12. Satsangan mukta duhsango hatum notsahate buddha kirtyamanam yasho yasya sakradakarnya rochanam tasminyastadhiyah parthah saheran viraham katham darshana sparsha samlapa shayanasana bhojanaihi. An intelligent person who has understood the Supreme Lord in association with pure devotees and has become freed from bad materialistic association can never avoid hearing the glories of the Lord, even though he has heard them only once. How then could the Pandavas tolerate his separation? For they had been intimately associated with his person by seeing him face to face, touching him, conversing with him, and sleeping, sitting, and dining with him. So, anyway, there is a second verse. So, satsangan mukta duhsango. Now it is said asatsanga tyagi. Asatsanga tyag a Vaishnavacha, right? What is the behavior of a Vaishnava? He gives up association of non-devotees. But how he does that? Satsangan mukta duhsango. Satsangan means, that's why this grammar is here very important. Satsanga we know, okay, association of devotees. Satsangan, actually it's satsangat with mukta. Next word is mukta. So, sandhi. Satsangat mukta duhsango. So, when it's satsangat means through, yes, by the way of satsanga, we have to get rid of duhsanga. We can't just asatsanga tyaga and then stay alone, because our mind is also asat. Our mind is now our enemy. So that is also asat. If I am staying alone, I am not associating Prabhu with any bad people. I am the bad person. I must understand. I am the bad person I am associating with. Of course, the soul is not bad. The mind. You see, mind. You see, in the see how the mind is. 11:23:47. Just the verse before the one we saw. Manovashenye hyabhavan smadeva manascha vasham sameti bhishmo hi devah sahasah sahiyan yunjadvashetam sahideva devah. All the senses have been under the control of the mind since time immemorial, and the mind himself never comes under the sway of any other. He is stronger than the strongest, and his God-like power is fearsome. He is stronger than the strongest mind, and his God-like power. It's not ordinary human, it's superhuman. Because with all human endeavor we are trying to control, we cannot control. And Arjuna is saying, what is that? Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavad drudham tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram. Now the storm is already controlled by the devatas. It is beyond our human control. This is even more powerful than the storm. Mind. That's why it is a God-like power. Sahasah sahiyan. He is stronger than the strongest, and his God-like power is fearsome. Therefore, anyone who can bring the mind under control becomes the master of all the senses. So, it is said even in the Bible, what profiteth a man who has gained the entire world but lost his eternal soul? So, a person may conquer all directions, but if he hasn't conquered the mind, then he is sitting with his greatest enemy. His greatest enemy is, in fact, not even the mind, the lust which occupies the mind now. Like Arjuna asked the question, why do we do sinful activities? I think you sit on the chair because you should not spread your legs. It's painful, right? You sit on the chair. See, I think I will go here. We are trying to control the mind, and Krishna says, Arjuna asked this question, why? Arjuna uvacha atha kena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichannapi varshneya baladiva niyojita. Anichan means, ichha means desire. Aniccha means against our desire. Baladiva niyojitaha. This is called prasabham, forcibly carrying away. O descendant of Vrishni, by what is one impelled to sinful acts? Even unwillingly, as if engaged by force. People don't want to commit sinful activities, but they are forced somehow or other by circumstance. So Krishna is answering this. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kama esha krodha esha rajoguna samudbhavaha mahashano mahapapma vidhenam meha vairinam. Our vairinam, our enemy, is passion. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. Now, we know lust is okay. If I don't see any woman, I will be not lusty. No. The lust is not only for women. So many things. Dhanam, janam, sundarim. So, the lust, where is the lust? That is also explained. Because it is not only enough to know the enemy, to know who the enemy is. We should also know where the enemy is, so that we can take precautionary measures. 3.40 Indriyani mano buddhir asyadhisthana muchyate etair vimohayatyesha jnanam avritya dehinam. You see this important point here? Jnanam avritya. Jnanam means knowledge. Avritya means cover. To cover. Now we know we are forced by ignorance, right? The senses, the mind and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. This is why we are forced. This is why we are called Vikrishyamanaha. We are forced throughout our life by our senses, by our mind, and finally, after the end of this life, by Yamaraj or Yamadutas actually, and dragged into hell forcibly. So in this way we are being forced. Now the thing is, we cannot avoid being forced. That is our thing, because we are always, we don't have independence. We don't have independence actually. Our position is to be dependent. Either, like for example, a person, if he is materialistic, he completely believes that this materialistic way is the goal of life, and we are learning here that materialistic way of life is not at all the way to have happiness. We have to attain Krishna's lotus feet. Now both categories of people, the Daiva and Asura, the devotees and non-devotees, are acting depending on the knowledge they have, right? Because the materialist people have no knowledge of this science, they have knowledge only of the whatever sense gratification. So based on that knowledge they are acting, and we are acting in this way, trying to chant, trying to elevate ourselves based on the knowledge we are getting now. Either way we are forced. It's not that we independently choose or no. Our only independence is that which force we want to accept. Either by the senses and the mind and eventually by Yamadutas, or we forced by the association of devotees, influenced by devotees. No, we had Jagannath Rice all. So, influenced by devotees. Because we cannot escape influence, we have to choose our influence. That's it. That independence only we have. That's why you see, there are parties, you can elect a leader, but you have to have a leader. That we don't have independence. We say independence, we have the right to vote. What does the right to vote means? You have the independence to choose your dependence. That independence we have. But which dependence we choose, that is based on our knowledge or ignorance. Either way we are forced. We are governed by the laws always. Whether this party comes into power or that party comes into power, whatever party comes, the laws are there and I will be controlled by the laws. Whether I want to be controlled in a good way or a bad way. Whether I want to be in the prison and be punished there, or I be in outside society, I can choose my dwelling, the control that I want. Under criminal law or under civil law, I can choose that. But control I will always be under. So, Vikrishyamana Prasabham, forcibly dragged. This much free will also we won't have in what we have now, whether we can choose between knowledge and ignorance. Of course, human life is meant to choose knowledge over ignorance, choose light over darkness, choose eternity over temporary. That is exactly the shloka. What is that? Asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Don't stay in this world of mrityu, amritam gamaya. Go to the amritam gamaya means, I take amrit, somaras or something, go to heaven. That is also mrita, because there also we will go. What is that? Go up and come down. Tetvam bhukta swargalokam vishalam kshine punyam martilokam vishanti. Even if we go to the heavenly planets, we have to come back. So that is not amrita. Amrita means no more mrita, no more mrityu, no more death. Only possible in Vaikuntha. Now going back to the verse, here the exact situation is that, in today's verse, that this attached person, Puranjan, is being dragged. Yavanena baliyasa, by force, a great force, he is being dragged now. That independence of choosing knowledge or ignorance, all these things we will lose at the time of death. Even if we want, we will not be able to do anything about it. We will be dragged into hell. So, as long as we have that little independence, we have to use it rightly, wisely. What is the word? Justifiably, justly. We have to use it rightly. Anyway, Navinda tamasavishtaha sakhayam suhridam puraha. This is very important. Navishtaha, being covered by ignorance, sakhayam suhridam puraha, navindat. He could not remember his eternal well-wisher. If he only remembers his eternal well-wisher, the Lord, he would not have gone through all these things. He has taken as his friend who actually is his enemy. Mind, especially lust. Kamadinam katina katitha palita durnideshas. So we are taking as friend who who is our enemy, and who is our real friend, Krishna. We have no regards. That's why we have been in this material world, time immemorial. We have been here. And if we only remember, our whole course of life will be totally different. And many nice verses explaining that. First we'll go to here. In the purport also Srila Prabhupada mentioned this as two birds sitting on a tree. So there is in the Upanishads, this Mundaka Upanishad and Shvetashvatara Upanishad, this verse is found. Samane vrikshe purusho nimagno anishaya shochati muhyamanaha jushtam yada pasyatyanyamisham asya mahimanam iti vita shokaha. Although the two birds are in the same tree, the eating bird is fully engrossed with anxiety and moroseness as the enjoyer of the fruits of the tree. But if in some way or other he turns his face to his friend who is the Lord and who knows his glories, at once the suffering bird becomes free from all anxieties. So this is where our turning point comes in our great journey in this material world. The turning point comes when we turn to the Supreme Soul. And the problem is, we don't know there is a Supreme Soul. How to even turn to Him? Now, with this shloka we understand that the Paramatma, even Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam, Hriddesha Arjuna Tishtati, Sarvasya Chaham, Hridhi Sannivishto. So many shlokas are there. Krishna is saying, I am seated in the heart, and the soul is also seated in the heart. So we are just beside our Super Soul, just beside our best friend, Paramatma. It is said, when he turns his face to his friend, but how can we turn? We don't even know. So the Lord, the mercy of the Lord is such that Paramatma, because we cannot see, he comes out. How he comes out? How he comes out? I don't know. You are not surprised. If you don't know me, you should be surprised. Huh? How come Paramatma is coming out? Not even surprised. This verse 11:29-6. Naivopayantyapachitiം kavayastavesha brahmayushapi kritam riddhamuda smarantah yontarbahistanubhritam ashubham vidhunvan Acharya Chaitya Vapusha Swagatim Yanakti. So, Acharya Chaitya Vapusha. O my Lord, transcendental poets and experts in spiritual science could not fully express their indebtedness to you, even if they were endowed with the prolonged lifetime of Brahma. For you appear in two features, externally as the Acharya and internally as the Super Soul, to deliver the embodied living being by directing him how to come to you. The Paramatma comes out in the form of the Acharya. How he comes out? So, who is the external manifestation of Paramatma? Who is our spiritual master? Srila Prabhupada. So, like that we have to understand. So that means, that's why we every day in the morning we sing Sakshat Dharitvena Samasta Shastrair Uktastata Bhavyata Eva Sadbhihi. What is that? The Shastra. Samasta Shastrai. All Shastras are saying, and Uktastata Bhavyata Eva Sadbhi. Sadbhi means the devotees. The devotees, the great devotees and the Shastras, they are saying one thing. What is that? Sakshat Dharitvena. The Acharya should be considered as good as Krishna, because he is the external manifestation of the Paramatma. This is very nicely explained in the first chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita. We did a whole lecture series on this of how the Acharya leads us in our deliverance. And there are 3 stages, of establishing our relationship with Krishna. How the Acharya guides us through these 3. So there is a Sambandha, there is Abhidheya, and then there is Prayojana. Prayojana, of course, the 3rd stage is the perfectional stage. But the 2 stages are there. Sambandha means, first of all, establishing our relationship, giving us the knowledge how to go to Krishna. First of all, who Krishna is, who we are, and what we are not. We think we are the body. So we are first of all not the body, we are the soul. And then next we are the part and parcel of the Supreme Soul. So we are not related here, we are related here. And now relation means activities. When there is relation, there is activities. Why if somebody works every day? Because he is related to his family, he has to have activity, he has to maintain them. So many activities develop from relations. So if my relationships with in the matter are not correct, is not true, and now my activities are all based on that understanding. But now if we switch our understanding with knowledge that okay, I am related to Krishna, so all my activities should be directed toward Krishna. So that is called Abhidheya. The practical engagement. After having established the relationship, practical engagement. Just like Prabhupada explained the marriage. The first there is, what is this called? Sambandham. They do the Sambandham. First they will, and even the marriage ceremony is kind of Sambandham. And then they engage in activities. And finally, Prayojana. What is that? Putrarthe kriyate bharya pitram pinda prayojanam. Putrarthe kriyate bharya. So one marries to engage in sexual intercourse with the wife for putra. And why putra? Pinda prayojanam. So eventually when the father dies, somebody, if he is going to hell, then the descendants, the putra, he has to do the pindam. So at least the father will not go to hell. So to save himself from going to hell, he is marrying. So this is the actual understanding of marriage. But nowadays marriage is taking them to hell because getting unnecessarily attached. They don't know that putrarthe kriyate bharya. They don't understand that bharya is there to create putra. Or they don't know that family life is to create good progeny. They don't know this. They do abortion, contraception, all these things to because they don't know what is the aim for sense gratification. In this way they are going to hell. So instead of getting saved from hell because of marriage, they are going to hell because of marriage. So you must know everything in proper context. Otherwise these rituals will not mean anything. In fact, they will mean the opposite. If like for example a holy day, auspicious day is when we should become more spiritual, like Ekadashi. Yesterday was Ekadashi. So we have to reduce our bodily demands and chant more, read more, do more service. Similarly, festival days like Janmashtami, we fast and then we engage in more service. But what if festivals become the source of all sin, which is happening nowadays? When there is festival, increased meat eating, increased intoxication. New Year party means what? Champagne, beer. Better there be no New Year. Better no festival for this kind of people. Because what is the use? And they say Happy New Year and do all nonsense on the New Year. What? Everything is topsy-turvy. They wish something and they do exactly opposite. So when we only follow some rituals without understanding why those rituals are in place in the first place, then we will have contrary results, opposite results. Instead of the holy auspicious days bringing auspiciousness, they bring even more inauspiciousness. The other days are better than the holy days. Then the other days are the holy days. Still they are not holy, but comparatively. The so-called holy days are becoming the most unholiest days. So you see, this is what happens if we follow some religion without knowledge, simply following ritual. This is what will end up. The exact opposite result we will get. Therefore, knowledge is important. That's why today's verse, tamasa vishtaha, covered by ignorance. That's why everything is going in the opposite direction, against our desire, forced. So if we are governed with knowledge, if we govern ourselves with knowledge, conduct ourselves with knowledge, that's why it is said, 16:24. Tasmat shastram pramanam te karya karya vyavasthitau jnatva shastra vidhanoktam karma kartum iharhasi. One should therefore understand what is duty and what is not duty by the regulations of the scriptures. Knowing such rules and regulations, one should act so that he may gradually be elevated. Duty and not duty by regulations of scriptures. In this way we have to act so that we are gradually elevated. That is the whole point. Why we should act with scriptures? We want to be elevated. And elevation means it should lead us to complete liberation from entanglement. That is highest elevation. Nishreyasaya. Nishreyasa. Shreya. But I think there is this Thanksgiving, right? And they eat turkey. Is that correct? Yeah. And then Yamaraj will say, thank you. I'll see you. That is the Thanksgiving. What is the point in having festival with more and more sinful activities? So, this is what happens when we don't know what we are doing, covered with ignorance. And then Yamadutas will be dragged like that. And how horrible it will be. I think we have seen, Prabhu already shown, but just because we are in the context, just see those verses, just those few verses of description of how one goes to hell. Since we are already here. So, because we don't know how bad what we are doing actually. 3.30. Around maybe 25, I think. That's where it starts. This is already, you already gone to hell. Okay. Let's read from maybe 20. 18. 18. Actually, the best way to read this is by the Vedavis.io. I will go there. Okay. Yeah. Now here you see 18th verse onwards. Thus the man who engaged with uncontrolled senses in maintaining a family dies in great grief, seeing his relatives crying. He dies most pathetically in great pain and without consciousness. At death he sees the messengers of the Lord of Death come before him, their eyes full of wrath, and in great fear he passes stool and urine. As a criminal is arrested for punishment by the constables of the state, a person engaged in criminal sense gratification is similarly arrested by the Yamadutas, who bind him by the neck with strong rope and cover his subtle body so that he may undergo severe punishment. While carried by the constables of Yamaraj, he is overwhelmed and trembles in their hands. While passing on the road, he is bitten by dogs and he can remember the sinful activities of his life. He is thus terribly distressed. And also he will remember not only his sinful activities, he will also remember the opportunities where he could have associated with devotees, and he will greatly regret. If he had such opportunities, he will be made to remember. And when he remembers, oh, I should have acted then, when the devotees asked me to do this. Asked me to chant, I should have chanted. I should have followed everything properly. Now, you see, he is terribly distressed, not only because of the pain that the dogs are biting him and all, but because of a thought and regrets also. He is mentally and physically tortured in hell. Not just physically, mentally also tortured. Under the scorching sun, the criminal has to pass through roads of hot sand with forest fires on both sides. He is whipped on the back by the constables because of his inability to walk. And he is afflicted by hunger and thirst. But unfortunately, there is no drinking water, no shelter, and no place for rest on the road. While passing on the road to the abode of Yamaraj, he falls down in fatigue and sometimes he becomes unconscious. But he is forced to rise again. This is Vikrishamanam Mana Prasabham. This is how bad it is. He is forced to rise again. In this way, he is very quickly brought to the presence of Yamaraj. Thus, he has to pass 99,000 yojanas within 2 or 3 moments. 792,000 miles in 2 or 3 moments. But he doesn't experience it as 2 or 3 moments. He feels it as an arduous, long journey. But in earth calculations, it's 2 or 3 moments only. And then he is at once engaged in the torturous punishment which he is destined to suffer. He is placed in the midst of burning pieces of wood and his limbs are set on fire. In some cases, he is made to eat his own flesh or have it eaten by others. His entrails, means his intestines, are pulled out by the hounds and vultures of hell, even though he is still alive to see it. And he is subjected to torment by serpents, scorpions, gnats and other creatures that bite him. Actually, if you see National Geographic Channel or you go to YouTube and type out hyenas, the way they kill, this is how they kill. The lion will kill the animal and then eat. The hyenas don't wait for the animal to die, and the wild dogs. Just like here dogs are there, hounds, you see. The wild dogs and the hyenas, they eat the animal live. The animal is just still standing and the stomach is fully open. Fully open, the skin is completely out and the stomach, intestine all hanging, red, blood is dripping, and they're eating the intestines and stomach. The animal is still standing. Haven't even fell down, but they don't wait. They just eat. So that is how horrible it looks. They say these kind of videos they have graphic content. Well, that is exactly what we're going to face if this is our destination, graphic content. And it's not graphic. Graphic means only for the eyes, but here we will feel the pain. And not just hounds, here vultures, hounds, serpents, scorpions, all at once. Next, his limbs are lopped off and torn asunder by elephants. You watch a video again if you want. A mad elephant, how he kills people. This is exactly what goes on in hell. What we see, when we see these horrible scenes on earth, these are glimpses of hell. Glimpses of hell. But in hell, this is the way of life. Here we see sometimes. But that is the way of life in hell. So do we want to choose like that? I mean, it's a stupidity if you're not careful. He is hurled down from hilltops and he is also held captive either in water or in a cave. Men and women whose lives were built upon indulgence in illicit sex life are put into many kinds of miserable conditions in the hell known as Tamisra, Andha Tamisra and Raurava. Lord Kapila continued, "My dear mother, it is sometimes said that we experience hell or heaven on this planet, for hellish punishments are sometimes visible on this planet also." This is what we see. And sometimes natural disasters. People die of horrible deaths. All this is because of that. Or even accidents, all these things. But these are what we here. An accident is once in a while it happens. But there everything looks like an accident only in hell. But it is not accident. It is planned torture. Head will come out. Head will be torn from the body, and this is a natural way of life in hell. After leaving this body, the man who maintained himself and his family members by sinful activities suffers a hellish life, and his relatives suffer also. He goes alone to the darkest regions of hell after quitting the material present body, and the money he acquired by envying other living entities is the passage money with which he leaves this world. Thus, by the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the maintainer of kinsmen is put into a hellish condition to suffer for his sinful activities like a man who has lost his wealth. Therefore, a person who is very eager to maintain his family and kinsmen simply by black method certainly goes to the darkest regions of hell, which is known as Andha Tamisra. And when we say black method, it's not only by black market or cheating or in the view of the state, but in the view of God's laws. For example, meat eating is a black method, which is not black by the state, but in God's laws it is a black method. So all these things are punished. Then what happens? Having gone through all the miserable hellish conditions and then having passed in a regular order through the lowest forms of animal life prior to human birth, and having thus been purged of his sins, one is reborn again as a human being on this earth. This is how the journey happens. So this is very miserable cycle. We should understand that this is very dangerous and we should avoid. And how we can avoid? Satsangan mukta duksanga. By association of devotees, we can get rid of non-devotee association. Of course, in one way, Krishna says like this, that durapahi, no, not durena hi avaram karma, sangam tyaktva dhananjaya. बुद्धि योगात् धनंजय दूरेण हि अवरम कर्म बुद्धि योगात् धनंजय बुद्धौ शरणम अन्विच्छ कृपणा फल हेतवः. So buddhi, by intelligence, good intelligence, we should दूरेण हि अवरम कर्म. The sinful activities must be thrown far distant, but we cannot have that buddhi if we don't associate with devotees. So then दूरेण हि अवरम कर्म, mukta dukh sango, stay far away. But you see, now you may ask, Prabhu, every day I am going to office, I am associating with all this, Yeah, so that is a big problem. So the way it should be done is just like in a market. You go and ask the person, okay, I want this much, I want this. You buy and come out. Like that one has to associate with just as much as is necessary. That's it. Not getting too intimate with them. If there is any friendship at all, like, of course you can't behave like a jerk in the office and just see them like that. Okay, give me this paper, like this. If I do like this, I'll be kicked out immediately. So, but we should at least maintain cordial relation, and if possible, try and preach. The friendship should be giving association, or not preach, give some prasadam. Some cookies, some sweet, some samosa, something, give. In that way, the friendship should purify that person, not contaminate us. No. That is taking an association from them. That means we are getting contaminated by their thought process. They will ask us, hey, you want this? I just bought some bread, you want some? They will ask. If they can ask, why we cannot ask them? Hey, I brought something, you eat. Sometimes, especially if there are other religious people or something, oh, I don't want, this is a temple, something offered, some blessed food, I don't want. Don't say it is blessed food. Just give, just like they ask, hey, I just bought this, you want some? Or you want some toffee, or you want some, this thing? You also ask, I just brought some, you want this? So, we should always think how to help them. And if they can't be helped, and if they always pick on, oh, you are devotees or God or something, always offending them, just leave them alone and just deal with them officially, finish. But our friendships, our relationships, our deeper relationships should be with devotees. Strong relationships. That's why Prabhupada said, even if one goes outside to work, 2 times he must come in the day, morning and evening, actually. Now at least Jagannath Prabhu is fulfilling that. Staying near the temple, that is the advantage. So we can come morning and evening, and in that way we become strong spiritually by association of devotees. So I think I will stop here. Any questions or comments? So for those who are online, who did not hear this, so basically Subal Prabhu is sharing. So for materialistic people, sometimes if somebody dies in their family, that's good, because he's saying that when they die, for 1 year they don't observe festivals, they don't enjoy, and their idea of enjoyment is all this meat, booze and all these things. And festival, instead of ordering meat, they ordered prasadam from the temple because of somebody died. So that is more auspicious for them when somebody died, rather than actually celebrating a festival. So this is the paradox, you see. So the body, the quality of anything has to be judged by its usage. By its usage. Now, the Bhagavad Gita. Of course, now we are using laptop. Even laptop also. Now the paper is a material thing, right? But when we read the Bhagavad Gita, we are inspired spiritually. How can a material thing inspire us spiritually? Like this body is moving because of the soul. So matter moves because of the spirit. Okay, for those who are online and don't know the question is, what is the question again? So when Prabhupada was here, his body is material or spiritual? So spiritual or material should be understood by its usage, as you said. So the example I was giving, like Bhagavad Gita, how can it inspire us spiritually? Nothing material can inspire spiritual. Just like nothing material can move this body. When this body is so-called dead, when the spirit soul leaves, you put how much chemical, how much whatever you do, this body will not move. So to move anything, we need spirit, even this material body. So to move us in spiritual way, to direct us in spiritual life, how can something material inspire us? So that means the Bhagavad Gita is spiritual. Because the paper, although it may be the same as matter, but immediately converted, the quality is converted because of the proper usage. Just like electricity is the same, but it can be made into heater or cooler. So it is how it is used that governs whether it is spiritual or material. So that's why a spiritual master's body is always spiritual. It should be taken as Sachidananda. That's why it is not ordinarily cremated. There is samadhi, there is so much honor even for the body of the spiritual master. And even his things that he used are kept because they are all spiritual again. As long as we use for Krishna's service, that is spiritual. Prabhupada said Krishna can change matter into spirit and spirit into matter if he wants. He can interchange. So when something is used in Krishna's service, immediately becomes spiritual. The same thing we use for our sense gratification becomes material. The mind, the soul has a mind, but when it is thinking of Krishna, that is spiritual. Thinking of sense gratification, that is material. So material or spiritual is based on how we use it. So the spiritual master's body is always spiritual. Even it is said that Krishna, when he left this world, like even an ordinary person could see Krishna. So what was it? Material body or spiritual body? How can wrestlers like Chanura and Mushtika move something? Even we can't see the Atma, right? How can we see Paramatma? How can they move something Paramatma? How can they wrestle with Paramatma? Which inconceivable, invisible. That means he had a body seemingly like with matter. And when the Jara hunter shot the arrow, the body was there. It's bewildering for the non-devotees. What is this? What happened? So the explanation the Acharyas give that the body that is there is the Virat Rupa that he leaves behind. The universal form that he leaves behind. The universal form is also, Virat Rupa is actually, what is Virat Rupa? Universal form. Material. Sun, moon and all these things are material. The trees are the hairs. The mountains are the bones of the Lord. The sky is the hair. And the heavenly planets are the head. So in this way, the universal form is understood and is seen by Arjuna. It was even seen by Arjuna. So that is again material. So what was cast off by Krishna was the material, universal form. Only the devotees will understand these rahasyam hetaduttamam, the secrets. But the non-devotees, because they want to forget Krishna, because they want to be atheist, Krishna will convince them. Yes, you see, I also have a normal body. Krishna is also normal. That's why there is this verse, no? Nayam sukhapo bhagavan. One second. Nayam sukhapo bhagavan dehinam gopika sutah jnaninam chatma bhutanam yatha bhaktimatam iha. 10.9.21. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda, is accessible to devotees engaged in spontaneous loving service. But he is not as easily accessible to mental speculators, to those striving for self-realization by severe austerities and penances, or those who consider the body the same as a self. No, this is not the one. The other one, what is the one? Where they consider him, Itham satam brahma sukhanubhutya. That's the one. Itham satam brahma. Same. Many verses are here, 5 verses, but we'll go to the last verse because the 4 verses on top are the descriptions of how the Krishna's cowherd boyfriends are playing with him, how they are dancing, how they are imitating the birds and all that. After saying all that, Itham satam brahma sukhanubhutya dasyam gatanam paradaivatena maya shritanam naradarakena sakam vijaharu kritapunya punja. Maya shritaram naradarakena. This is what I am going to. This is the focus. What is that? Okay, they jump and they know how they play, all the details of their play, and then finally it is said, in this way, all the cowherd boys used to play with Krishna. Who is the first? Who is the source of Brahman effulgence for Jnanis, desiring to merge into that effulgence? Number 1. Then, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead for devotees who have accepted eternal servitorship? For Jnanis, he is the non-differentiated Brahman effulgence. For the devotees, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And for the ordinary persons, is but another ordinary child. So, same Krishna, but depending on the advancement of the person, he is seeing him differently. Some realize him as Brahman realize, some Paramatma realize, some Bhagavan realize. It's the same. And something he is ordinary boy. So, same Krishna, but he is appearing in different ways. Like, the prism. The prism is the same thing, but it appears in different colors from which angle you see. So, similarly, Lord is like the prism. And he says, what is that? Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamyaham. As they surrender, so I reward. If their surrender is zero, absolute atheist, I will appear to them as if I am not at all God. For the devotee, even a small flower will remind him of God. For the non-devotee, the entire cosmos doesn't remind him of God. That's why it is said Krishna is easy, simple to achieve for the simple-hearted, but very crooked to achieve. The path to Krishna is very crooked for those who are crooked. Those are not simple. Those are not simply devotees. So Krishna's body is spiritual. And similarly, the spiritual master's body is also spiritual. Any other questions? Nothing online. So we'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.